Hola gente, Ish here. So the holidays are around the corner and I can hear the chorus of all the people out there saying right now when it comes to shopping for men, I never know what to get my husband, boyfriend, brother, dad, etc., so on and so on. Bueno, what if I told you about the perfect gift? Huh? Well, it's the perfect jean. No, that's literally the name of the company, and they're not lying. I've been wearing their jeans for about a month now, and it's the softest and most comfortable pair of pants that have ever hugged my booty without squashing everything else. Guys, you know what I mean, right? Some of these jeans don't leave much room for the boys, do they? So when I give a pair of jeans made for men that alleviates that crushed nuts feeling, trust me, that is a thing we struggle with. And you can even save 25% off your first order by using promo code PERO25 when visiting theperfectjean.nyc. There's a variety of styles. You got slim fit, skinny fit, and they now have athletic fit too. So there's definitely variety to choose from. Honestly, it just sounds like the perfect holiday gifting solution to us. So don't forget, visit theperfectjean.nyc today and use code PERO25 for 25% off the perfect jean as the perfect gift for your perfectly imperfect guy.
Ho, ho, ho! Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, everyone. The holidays are here. Yeah, 2020 is ending for better or for worse, but the holidays are here, and while we all love chestnuts roasting on an open fire, hairy chestnuts, not so much. Well, our friends at Manscaped are here to save the holidays. You know, we've only been telling you about Manscaped pretty much all of 2020, right? This Christmas, Manscaped is offering their Performance Package Bundle, the perfect gift for your favorite package. Manscaped's got all the gadgets and all the scents your guy can want. Seriously, the scent is like so good. It's fresh, it's clean. I mean, not for nothing Manscaped, but they should make like a candle or like a room odorizer or something of it. Who knows? Mira, it includes the Lawnmower 3.0 body trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Crop Preserver ball deodorant, and the Crop Reviver ball toner. And if you get Manscaped's Performance Package now, they'll even toss in a pair of their briefs and travel bag. And not for nothing, their briefs are awesome. If you really want your bells jingled, use promo code PERO20 at manscaped.com for 20% off your order and free shipping handling. It's the season for the perfect gift with the perfect promo, so use PERO20 as your promo code when ordering your Performance Package Bundle at manscaped.com. Feliz Navidad, everyone. Hi, people. This is DJ.
This is Ish.
And this is Season 3 of Pero Let Me Tell You. La 90 y pico.
La 8 y la 90 y pico.
Jumbo. Well, there's a McDonald's by there and all
that. Okay, I know. Okay, yes.
That shopping center. So, with that said, bet you nobody's talked about Jumbo Supermarket in a while.
No, they are not.
Welcome to episode 137, everybody. Yes. Our Thanksgiving, post-Thanksgiving, food coma.
I'm sure some people are feeling a little jumbo right now after eating on Thanksgiving.
You know what's pretty jumbo now that we're talking about extinct supermarket? Electra.
That's true.
Let me tell you something. Extra Supermarket, okay, people.
We're gonna take a little
happy Friday, happy Black Friday, happy Pero Friday, post Thanksgiving.
The holidays are officially here.
The Macy's Thanksgiving parade was weird, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Man, for those of you like listeners who are Miami natives who've been here a while, Extra Supermarket was a big deal.
Yeah.
Cada vez que alguien llegaba de Cuba, the first thing you would do is to take them to Extra.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh my God, so many apples.
And then you... And then I always feel like you would always take them to get to eat the grapes. And then you would go to the candy section and they'd be like, ¿Y esto se puede comer así? And you couldn't because technically you had to pay for it.
And then you would see them and the orange juice thing, que la naranja empezaba por allá arriba.
Can I tell you that I love those
of
things?
the machine, and they would make all its way down the conveyor belt to just squeeze a damn orange.
I love watching those machines.
Yeah, but it's very ineffective, right? Very.
Oh no, yeah, it's like total middleman.
It's not cost effective
at all.
whatsoever.
Yeah, or time effective.
It's for show.
It's a little therapeutic for me.
Yeah, but man, extra. We used to go to the one window. There weren't that many extras.
I was gonna say, did they have any outside of South Florida?
So I don't know.
I think they had it in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, they were Puerto Rican.
Okay,
but the ones that I can think of, there was an extra with the one that we used to go to, Bird Road on 112.
Right.
Man, right next to our house, right?
That's true.
Bird Road on 112. Then there was an extra,
and they were open 24 hours.
Yeah, and there was an extra in Dadeland.
Ah, verdad, that's
where
right.
the Publix is now.
Metió por allá atrás.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metió por allá atrás. The part of Dadeland that nobody goes to.
People forget.
The Daytron Center.
Yeah.
There was one in Hialeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I can't remember a fourth one. There may be maybe South Miami. I don't know.
Listeners, if you know where if there was a fourth extra,
but extra was a big deal. It was a big deal. Like, it was such, I mean, obviously it was the age because, I was a kid at that time.
Yeah, we were like 6.
Well, Extra opened, the one in Bird Road opened in 1986. I think it lasted for about like close to 10 years. I think from like 86 to like 95.
Yes, 94, 95, because that was my first job when it turned into a Winn-Dixie.
Winn-Dixie, yeah. And we were
like sophomore, junior year.
Yeah. So it lasted maybe close to 10 years.
Yeah.
But man, what a 10-year it was.
Had a good run.
It had a good run. Like I remember they had like a side room where the beer was at, like the kegs of beer.
Oh yes.
And I would always go in because it was like very cold.
It was freezing. I loved it.
This was so like reminiscent of the time. Here we are talking about Extra.
Not talked about Extra and like
that Extra at a time had their own like a video rental club.
Yes, absolutely. Ahí en la entrada.
Man, that was such an 80s thing.
That was such a thing. It's funny because
Do you remember FX?
Well, I was gonna go. I was gonna go to FX, but yes, I do remember it. But it's funny that you say the supermarket video rental thing because as I've been mentioning, I've been rewatching Melrose Place, and there's an episode where they're in a supermarket and like at the entrance of the supermarket, it has like a rack of videos, and I was like, wow, that's something that kids today will just.
Nope.
Number one, they don't know what a video is, but they can't understand that like we would go there and rent a video.
That meme that exists right now of like, it's a meme of Blockbuster and like full, like,
packed,
that it says kids will not understand how lit this was on the weekend.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. Friday night, if you didn't get there early, you weren't getting a new release.
I remember the Blockbuster on Bird Road, Bird Road 107,
the one we went to.
By Checkers, that now it's a pet supermarket. It was such a like big deal to get the new releases that I would stand by where the drop off was,
just in case.
I would stand by there because as people kept dropping off the videos, they would scan them immediately and then put them on the rack there before they re-rack them. That it'd be like, damn it, the bodyguard just came in.
And it did not matter how many copies of a new release they had.
Yeah.
Because there were some times that it was like an entire wall.
Yeah.
Gone.
But that goes to with what we've talked about before in terms of now with like Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and Disney Plus and all the streaming services.
Not Quibi anymore.
That we're like we have all these streaming services and we're like we don't watch.
I'm watching Melrose Place.
Yeah, and you used to go to Blockbuster or the Extra Video Club
or FX
y tú salías como con 10 películas and then you had like a 48-hour rental.
So you were
like
you were committed.
Movies. Yes.
There was a commitment.
Yes.
You had from Friday till Sunday night because you had to get them returned because Monday was school.
And then there was that weekend that I decided it would be a good idea to watch a double feature of Cleopatra and Dr. Zhivago.
You're still watching that, aren't you?
I'm still watching that 20 years later.
Wait, how many intermissions?
It's so funny that in Dr. Zhivago, he has children, right? And by the end of the movie, the children are older. And I'm like, the children like aged in the movie in real time. Because years passed in the movie that I'm like, the time the movie's over, it's like I felt it.
It's like Boyhood. They just waited for the children to age.
I felt, and now it's funny because I don't know, listeners, have you seen Dr. Zhivago? So Dr. Zhivago is this very, very famous movie from the 60s. I believe it was from 1969.
It's a novel, right? A Tolstoy novel?
Yes. And I love Russian culture and Russian literature. So that's why I've always loved this movie.
Yeah.
And
it's also why you ride horses shirtless like Putin.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And, the book was banned for years in communist Russia and whatever. So the movie talks about the Bolshevik Revolution, and it's the Dr. Zhivago is set. It's a love story, but it's set on
against the backdrop
of the Bolshevik Revolution. So if you're into that, it's
fascinating.
It's fascinating, and it has a great cast, and it won Academy Awards and all this stuff. But it is so boring.
It's Alec Guinness, right?
Huh?
Alec Guinness. Isn't Sir Alec Guinness in it? Obi-Wan?
Yes, he is. No, it's a great cast, but you really have to like the subject matter
right.
to like make it through. Because that Russian winter,
it's dedication.
And then when I found out that it was really shot in the middle of the summer in Madrid and all the snow is wax.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's terrible. And they were actually suffocating while they
Oh no. Well, wow.
Okay, but anyway, back to Thanksgiving.
But I was going to say, well, we can relate to suffocating during the winter because we live in Miami, and so it's a balmy 90 degrees year round, pretty much.
It is. So that's a way of bringing it back over.
Yeah.
So as you guys are listening to this, you are Black.
I'm Black Friday shopping.
Whatever that may look like.
Whatever that may look like. I mean, this year, the thing about Black Friday shopping this year is that because of everything that's been happening, a lot of the stores have started their Black Friday deals already.
Esto es como the Super Bowl commercials that they start airing them like 2 weeks before the Super Bowl.
Well, but this year specific because of COVID, they're like, okay, people may need a little bit more time, financially, so they're spacing it all out.
You're using all your Kohl's cash, aren't you?
Shh. Why you gotta ruin my secrets, yo? And they're double on Friday. What are you talking about? But yeah, so they started earlier, but I'm assuming that there will still be either the same deals or better deals or different deals, as I'm out, today shopping. And like I said, look, you've asked me before, like, do you really get better deals on Black Friday? Depends on what you're going to go buy.
You're a Black Friday warrior.
I am a Black Friday. Like me and my sister, we do this every year. It's our annual bonding thing. We go out, I sleep over her house. We, depending this year, everything's probably not going to open until 6. So it probably will be like a Black Friday like it used to be. Mm-hmm. And we go out and we acabamos. The thing is also, I feel like it's more beneficial like when you have small children. Mm-hmm. Because when I go to the stores and I see people like just browsing and I'm like, no. This is not the time.
You gotta go in with a game plan.
Yeah, this is not the time to look at, the kitchen towels. No, this is when you go in and you're like, okay, which of the flat screen TVs do I want?
You don't go Black Friday shopping to ir a comprar detergente.
Exactly. You go, it's like, okay, Target has the towels on sale for $1. Stock up for the year. The video games are buy 2 get 3 free or whatever. You gotta go with a game plan. I literally make an Excel spreadsheet with the name of everybody I'm buying for, the item, the price on sale that day of Black Friday, where it is located, and the store that's located. Mm-hmm. And I also have a column where I check it off as I buy it.
So I don't do Black Friday shopping. I never have. There's no way. And I'm not one of these people that hates going to stores.
And Black Friday is not as bad as it used to be.
No, I know. It's come down a little
different.
Bit. And I really had a really big problem. Now it's come down a little bit, and this year, obviously, because of COVID,
right.
A lot. But until a few years ago, that more and more stores were opening earlier and earlier.
Yeah, I know.
And now, stores were practically open on Thanksgiving.
Well, they were.
Walmart
was open on Thanksgiving.
It's like, give me a fucking break. Like your employees at least deserve to have Thanksgiving dinner with their family.
Yeah,
but anyway,
for the record, we would never go out before like 3 a.m.
But anyway, I've never Black Friday shopped, and it's funny because every year everybody goes crazy shopping, and oh my god, they pull out their hair. For like 20 years now, since I was like, I think in college, that I started, I was making my own money, that I would gift things to people.
Right.
And it's not even now that I'm self-employed that I have more flexibility in my time. I used to do this when I wasn't self-employed too. I usually will take, during the week, I will take a day off from work.
Like a random Tuesday.
I go to the mall, and in 3 hours, I'm done. Done. No. And now, I have a kid too that I have to shop for. I have, a big family. I have a ton of friends, esa cosa que la gente started going crazy and they got in a panic and
no. No. I don't go into panic, but I start planning gifts, like who I'm getting and what I'm
y yo
getting.
resuelvo rápido. Like for example,
you know, I am the gift whisperer.
Like for example, my father loves to read, so I get my father a book.
Okay.
So I actually go to Barnes and Noble and I go and I look to see what I know his subject matter.
Right. His taste,
I know what my father likes and doesn't like, so I get him. What I know he's gonna like. My mother, for example, my mother doesn't like anything. No, really, my mom doesn't like anything.
Well, that's because she lives in black and white. As we established in last week's episode.
My mom no le puedes regalar un perfume porque es alérgico. No le puedes regalar una crema porque es alérgica. A shampoo, there's only one shampoo she uses. She doesn't like jewelry. It's the only woman on earth that doesn't like jewelry.
You know, that's true. I always hear my mother with like her wedding band and like un
reloj. Her wedding band. My mom hasn't worn her wedding band in like 20 years.
Really?
My mom does not wear jewelry.
But she'll wear like a watch. That's it, I think. I think I've seen her with like una pulsera, no?
No, she doesn't wear jewelry. My mom doesn't wear jewelry. My mom shops only from Ann Taylor Loft. Only.
So guess where she's getting something from.
So I get her a gift certificate. You can't get her a candle because she doesn't like to put it on because then maybe it causes an adverse reaction to my grandmother. So then, right.
So many
because
things.
What? Because a great place to like knock off a lot of women
Bath and Body Works, which I do.
3 for $18. Una crema for you, a body splash for you,
and you double up those coupons that you get in the mail.
Yes,
and you will sometimes you wind up paying $1.
And they even give you the little bag.
It's a one-stop shop.
Right. Yo no me complico la vida. I go like one day, y acabo with everybody in like 2 or 3 hours, and then I see these people like going crazy, going like in panic mode, and I'm like,
no, it's because I don't go in panic mode, but I do like to get people like gifts that. I like to think about it. I like to be creative with it. It's fun. Like even with my mother every year, my mother collects nutcrackers. So every year I get my mother a nutcracker, but I don't want to get her the same one every year.
Certain people that you could be creative for.
So I always look for like a new one, a different one.
I think there's people that you could be creative for, and then there's people that you can't. Like for example, somebody that you could be very creative for? My niece. Like my niece,
she's all into anime.
She's very into anime, so it's like, look, like this really cool character or T-shirt from Hot Topic. Like I know you're gonna love.
Right.
My nephew. Here you go. Here's a gift certificate to Nike. Because he doesn't, like I remember one year when he was younger, he was somewhat into presidents, and I got him like all this stuff of presidents.
Right.
And he was like, "Why are you getting me this?" And I'm like, "Okay, never mind. You're the gift certificate type," which is totally okay.
I hate giving gift certificates.
I hate it too, but some people that's what they like. The thing is that how you're saying that like you like to be thoughtful. I like to be thoughtful too, but I've realized throughout trial and error that some people, it's not that they're not worth it. It's just that they don't appreciate it because that's not what they're into.
No se le ocurre.
Right.
That you went through this trouble.
Them, like this shirt that's so them, and oh my God, I thought about you. And I'll be like, okay, just give me a gift certificate. Yeah, whatever. Or like, you get something that's happened to me so many times. I get something for someone and I'm so like, oh my God, I got you this.
Yeah.
Can I have the receipt? And it's like, oh. Okay. So, yeah, yo no me complico la vida.
Oh, no.
I don't complicate my life.
I like complicate my life a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, how was your Thanksgiving?
Well,
I know Thanksgiving was different this year for many people.
Different for us. We did not do el batallón de gente. Everybody stayed in their respective houses and called it a day.
Oh.
Yeah. Because COVID.
Did you cook something Thanksgiving?
I did the upside down turkey.
What's the upside down turkey?
You don't know about the upside down turkey?
This is why I'm asking.
Oh my gosh, the listeners.
I mean, this is the learn part.
This is the learn part.
I've heard of a turducken, but I've never heard of upside down turkey.
A turkey that is going to knock the socks off everybody. Like I'm not kidding.
I am looking intently.
Porque I did this turkey. I've already done it. This was my 3rd year.
Okay.
And the first year I did it, my family, like in all families down here in Miami, you always have, especially the old Cuban men.
Yeah.
Ugh. El pavo.
Eso está más patiseco.
Eso no sabe a nada.
Yeah.
Por eso necesitas una pierna. ¿Quién tiene la paleta de puerco? The same shit in my house. Every year.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
My uncles, they have to have the fucking pork. It's like you can't go without pork one day. Like one day.
One holiday, damn it.
One holiday. One day. Like we're going to have next week or next month.
Like in literally 3 weeks. Like, yeah.
It's going to be all about the pork. It's
the star of the show.
It's the star of the show.
We have a T-shirt about
really Christmas. Exactly. Christmas is really about el lechon. Like, what are we kidding?
It is. I mean, we put up a tree, but it's about the lechon.
Right. So, you want to talk about pagan symbols, But anyway, so what you do is, so listen, everybody. Okay, so the day before, you're going to brine your turkey. Okay. So all you're going to do is put a ton of salt in the damn turkey. Just put salt everywhere. Pat it with the salt. Okay. You want to make sure your turkey is dry and completely defrosted.
Okay, so not moist, no moisture in the turkey.
Well, there's always
going
to be a certain amount of moisture.
But as dry as you can get it.
But as dry as you could get it. You're going to pat the skin and you're going to dry it. So then you're going to pat it down with salt.
Okay.
Because the salt absorbs more moisture.
Yeah, true.
Right. So that's all you're going to do. And you're going to keep it in the fridge overnight.
Okay.
Hopefully for 24 hours in the fridge. So then here's the secret.
Okay.
You're going to get 10 pounds of butter.
Good Lord.
You're going to literally butterball that turkey.
Oh, wow. Okay?
So what you're going to do is the following.
Okay.
You're going to smother that turkey in butter.
How?
La mantequilla is room temperature.
Okay.
You're going to get a blob of mantequilla in one hand and a blob of mantequilla in the other one.
And just massage it in?
And just massage that turkey.
Okay.
Right?
Because by this point, it's absorbed all the salt.
Right. And then what you're also going to do is in the breast
part... Salted or unsalted butter?
Salted.
Okay.
Always salted.
Okay. No, because you put so much salt already, I didn't know.
No, but it's a lot of meat, so it needs a lot of seasoning. Okay. So in the breast, you're going to very gingerly and carefully and softly. You're going to, in the part of the breast where the hole is, where the cavity is, you're going to put your hands between the skin and the flesh, and you're going to dig in a little pocket around the breasts.
Yes, you have to do that very carefully.
Very carefully.
Okay.
And then you're going to put more butter in there. So then you're going to get the cooking instructions of your turkey, depending on the weight.
Okay.
So the first half.
So it's literally just butter and salt.
Yes.
Okay.
So what I do is butter and salt, and then inside in the cavity I get like 3 or 4 lemons, like a garlic head, some rosemary, and a couple of aromatics, and I just stuff it in there. Okay. So literally what you're going to do...
This is one salty violated turkey.
You're going to put the bird in, whatever...
The pan.
The pan you use. You're going to put the bird in upside down. So breast down.
Con el fundido para arriba?
Yes.
Okay.
Why is that important? Because the fat of the turkey is in the bottom.
Oh, okay.
So as you're cooking it... that fat is going down
to drip down, and it will keep the moisture in the bird.
Because think about it, the breast is the driest part of the turkey. So when you're cooking that turkey breast side up,
it's falling
for 3 hours. Dripping. It's like
you're losing the fat.
Right, you're losing the fat and the moisture and all that stuff.
The flavor.
That's why breast is always so dry. So then, this is covered. Then
with like aluminum foil.
Yeah. Okay. Then you somewhere midpoint you turn the turkey around. Okay. You cover it again. And you finish cooking it. About 10 to 15 minutes before it's supposed to be done, 10, 15, 20 minutes, you remove the aluminum foil, you butter the top of the turkey again, you take out all the juices to make your pan gravy.
Okay.
You take out all the juices, you butter the top again, put it back in the oven so you can get that nice, pretty commercial
that
golden brown skin. And voila. You will thank me later.
Well, that sounds absolutely delicious. My sister her way around the dryness of the turkey is to
bacon.
It's to literally just like a lattice work, like a pie with bacon over it.
Yeah, that's what we used to do all the time. And I mean, I love it because you got a lot of bacon.
It's bacon, yeah.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love bacon?
Who doesn't love bacon? But no, I tried this recipe 2 years ago.
Huh.
There's this guy I follow that has a YouTube channel called Not Another Cooking Show. That recipe is from him, but it's originally from Martha Stewart. So
I mean, if Queen Martha does it, it's got to be good.
Between him and me and Martha is that while we cover
you don't talk like this.
No, and while we cover it with like standard aluminum foil, Martha covers the turkey with a cheesecloth.
I have a cheesecloth if you want to have it.
No, that's okay. And then her cheesecloth.
Because I bought a cheesecloth one time to make almond milk, and I've never used it.
No, you know what she does? She, again, massages the butter in the turkey, and then the cheesecloth, she dips it in melted butter, and she puts it over the turkey.
God bless Martha Stewart.
Especially
now that she doesn't give any fucks.
Yeah. That may sound like a Paula Deen recipe, but no, it's Martha Stewart.
It's Upper Connecticut.
Yeah. And then what you do is, then with the leftover turkey, today on Black Friday.
Oh, you make turkey sandwiches.
I I make the gobbler.
Oh.
My gobbler is a baguette. It has to be a baguette.
Okay, why a baguette?
Because it has to be a sturdy bread.
Okay.
It can be like a sourdough or like a white bread. It has to be a very...
No pumpernickel.
A very strong bread, like a baguette. You could even make it in a Cuban
that's
bread.
true, Cuban bread.
But like a heavy, not a heavy bread, but like a thick bread, like that will handle.
Okay, like a thick crust, if you
will. So you get sliced turkey breast, sliced turkey breast, gravy over it.
The pan gravy.
With a layer of stuffing. Okay. Homemade stuffing. And a layer of cranberry sauce, and voila, you have the gobbler.
That sounds really good.
It is amazing. I do it every year. I put it on my Instagram. It's pretty amazing.
That sounds really, really good.
Yeah. And it's Thanksgiving dinner in a sandwich.
Mira para allá.
You are welcome.
Well, thank you very much.
You are welcome, listeners.
This entire Cooking with Darian segment, it reminds me of the... Did you see I posted it to our page?
By the way, go to hashtag Darian Cooks. I'm not kidding. This is totally a hashtag.
It's a
Darian
thing.
Cooks, because I love to cook.
He does love to cook.
I actually wanted to go to culinary school.
And you're good at it.
I am good at it because I love it.
Because you can love to do something and not be good at it.
Yeah.
I love to sing. I'm not good at it.
No. And I did not get that from anyone because my mom doesn't even, like, my mom can barely boil.
No, but your dad cooks.
My dad cooks, but my dad cooks Cuban food. Like, whatever. But my mom can't, like, boil an egg. Like, it's terrible. Like, my mom hates cooking. I remember when I was a kid, my mom tried to make cupcakes for my birthday to take to school, and that did not end well. And that morning, we had to make a run to Publix and get cupcakes.
Whenever anybody says cupcakes now, I always think of the time, like in the last year or two, that I was here making cupcakes, and Jose was here. Jose's not very kitchen, forward like I am. And so I'm baking and I'm making the cupcakes, and he sees me putting the little cups, the paper things in the tins and pouring it in. And he's like, babe, but won't they burn in the oven? And I just turned to him and I said, did you think that there was somebody who sat there with the cupcakes after they came out and put the little paper around each and every one of them? He's like, yeah, I just didn't know that was how you did it.
I never really thought about it.
And I'm like, okay, so you thought there was like some old lady at Publix who her sole job was just to sit there and be like, okay, dame coque pa poner el papelito.
Well, when you made those cupcakes, and I gave you A for effort, you learned a very valuable thing.
Yes.
Which is, tell our listeners.
Room temperature butter means room temperature butter.
Yes.
Not microwaved.
When you're going to make butter, it's funny because when
you
cupcake
knew right
was
away.
Fine. When I tasted
the cupcake was dense. It was too dense.
It was dense, but whatever. It was whatever. But because he was very nice. He made cupcakes. This was at the beginning of
the pandemic.
Earlier this year, and it was very nice of him, and he went around and gave them. But when he brought the cupcake over, I'm like, something is off with the buttercream. And I'm like, I bet you que este chiquito was like reading the instructions, said room temperature butter. And he goes, okay, well, I'll have cold butter. Let me pop that in the microwave.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I'm like, just
and
melt
it's like,
it.
no, room temperature butter has
means
to be like
room temperature butter.
Because remember, in baking, it's all about chemistry. And
once you nuke it, it changes all the chemistry.
And then once you add room temperature butter, and you use,
magic happens.
Magic happens.
Did you watch? Because I posted this on our Instagram. Did you watch Cameron Diaz making bistec palomilla?
Palomilla steak, as she said it.
Bistec palomilla. Yeah.
I saw like a little second.
It looked good. Like she did a good job, but I know it was supposed to be like ASMR because the whole thing of it is like the sound of cooking. Yeah. But I couldn't deal with it. She's like, and then I put the onions, and then you want to put the. I'm like, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with the whole but I'm not a fan of ASMR.
Yeah,
it annoys me. So.
¿Quién iba a decir que Good Charlotte, Benji Madden? No, she's married to Benji or to Joel?
One of them.
Que iba a casarse con una cubanita.
Es verdad, mira. Y una cubanita rubia.
Ajá.
Para que lo sepan, de ojos claros.
Who knew? Oh, Lord. But on that note, since it's a time of giving.
That's true. It is a time of giving. And, I know it's Black Friday. Tomorrow's Small Business Saturday. But this is the time of year when I think, people open their hearts and also a little bit of their wallets and, look for ways to give back to the community. And so this week we have the Director of Volunteer Services of the BRC up in New York, Rick Aiken, talking to us about not just his organization, but also just, all the challenges that organizations such as his and other nonprofits have been facing this year because of COVID, and ways that we can still help. Because I think specifically with us being, varying degrees of lockdown, depending where you're at and depending on, your circumstances, you may feel like, well, I want to do something, but what can I do? I can't get out there to give in person. So, chatted it up a little bit, and he gave us some great suggestions. And so without further ado, here is our interview with Rick Aiken from the BRC. Oye, mi gente, we all know getting together for the holidays this year is going to be a little different, pero it's not proximity that makes us feel close to our family. With Storyworth, you can still give loved ones a meaningful gift, a chance to tell their story and share memories. Storyworth is an online service helping loved ones share stories, memories, and personal thoughts. Every week, Storyworth emails your family member a different question they can answer in as much detail as they want. Mira, I signed my dad up for Storyworth, y claro que I asked about coming from Cuba on the Peter Pan flights, but Storyworth also provides fun questions like, what's your favorite cartoon character? Or describe your first job. Just have it, the little things that really let us know a person. Not only do I get to read his replies every time he responds, but after a year of questions, Storyworth compiles all these stories into a beautiful keepsake book, including pictures that ships for free. I can't wait to see my dad's story put together and then share them with my nephews when they're a little older. Pues si acaso, I don't know when my dad's going to reply to these things, right? But this will let them know their abuelo in a whole new way. Well, okay, so what's better than giving your loved ones the gift of togetherness and memories with Storyworth? Bueno, visit storyworth.com/pero to get started right away with no shipping required and $10 off your first purchase. $10 off. Así que visit storyworth.com/pero for $10 off. And remember, what really brings us together during the holidays is our stories. Viene la Navidad, and that means lots and lots of cooking. Pernil, lechon, tamales, pasteles, all of our faves. But are you looking for a more organic way to season your holiday favorites this year? Pues let us introduce Loisa Seasonings. Founded and owned by Hispanics with Dominican and Peruvian backgrounds, ya tú sabes, por toda Latinoamérica están. Loisa is the healthier alternative to those processed flavors from all those big, big companies, from big seasoning, right? They are also certified organic, non-GMO, and vegan. Loisa has no artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives. It's all about puro sabor. Plus, aside from sazon y adobo, which, let's face it, if you're cooking and you're not using sazon y adobo, or even Hispanic, come on, please. They've also introduced garlic powder, paprika, sea salt, hasta canela. Missing abuela because of la corona? We'll send a gift set of up to 12 Loisa seasonings in a bright and vibrant box so you can still cook together despite any distance. Como dice Gloria Estefan, que siga la tradición, right? So if you're looking for all the flavor you love out the artificial, visit Loisa, that's LOISA.com today and complete the Bueno, mi gente, and we're back. Now, as we mentioned, we're in the thick of the holiday season. I mean, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus, for those of you who celebrate, I don't know. And, the one thing that we really want to shed a light on is how many of us in this world are more fortunate than others and can probably help others. But with COVID, that's been running rampant, it's been very difficult, I think, to get that volunteering out there the way we maybe have done before. So we have with us today from the Bowery Residents Committee in New York City, the Director of Volunteer Services, Rick Aiken. So thank you for joining us, Rick. And for those astute listeners, yes, this is the Rick of Rick and Joe fame, who is a friend of ours, a friend of mine for years now. And we name drop them up and down. But, he's not here to talk about that. He's here to talk about, how we can give back and, really be there for these underserved communities. So thanks for joining us, man.
Hello. Thanks for having me. So, I didn't know I was a minor celebrity.
Well, anybody who's in our lives is like a minor celebrity on our podcast.
You had a recurring role in season 1.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I do know that.
Why don't you first of all, I guess, tell us a little bit about the BRC, because I know you're one of New York's largest social service agencies with the homeless community, and maybe you can give us a little bit of insight into what you guys are all about.
Well, BRC Bowery Residence Committee, we've been around for 50 years, and we did get started on the Bowery, which is in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. But we have branched out quite a bit since, hence why we refer to ourselves now as BRC, because we don't want to have anybody confused. We have an overwhelming presence throughout Manhattan, from the Lower East Side into Chelsea, as well as Washington Heights Inwood area, Harlem, and we also do have facilities and programs throughout Brooklyn and the Bronx. Our approach is extremely straightforward. One thing I'd always like to emphasize is we do work with homeless adults as well as those at risk of becoming homeless. We do have an outreach effort where we're the ones that will go into the subway platforms and on the subway trains themselves at the end of the evenings, as well as the main transportation hubs. And we are simply the ones that will go up and introduce ourselves and talk to those that may or may not be homeless, just to find out if there's any way we can help them. And ideally, it will then lead to a whole continuum of services that we can provide. And of course, that's if they say yes. We do work closely with the NYPD, where we will encourage them to come with us. And one thing that we do have is a huge luxury, because we are doing this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that is despite the pandemic. Our workers are frontline workers. They are the ones that are going up even in the midst of a pandemic or in the midst of a disaster, and just still doing our jobs. Talking to these folks and really encouraging them. And the luxury that we have is because we're doing this 24 hours a day, if they say no to us today, they may say yes to us tomorrow or next week or next month, because we're in the same locations and we're consistent. Again, that can lead to the varying levels of service, which is varying levels of housing, perhaps. It could be emergency housing if you have a mental illness or chemical addiction. It could be transitional housing if you're ready to start moving to the next level. We do offer permanent housing to certain populations. We do work with about 10,000 clients in a typical fiscal year. We do have 30 programs and locations throughout those areas that I mentioned, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. We do have, say, give or take a couple dozen, about 1,100 employees, which does sound like a lot, but they are spread through those 30 locations, almost all of which are 24 hours a day. So our employees are very tired, and that's when we turn to the general public to help us out as volunteers, and that's where the volunteers really do lend a very strong hand.
What are some of the challenges that you are finding, from a volunteer perspective? And I'm sure, just like you, all these charitable organizations are probably experiencing, with COVID, because let's face it, when people get hit with loss of job and other things like that, they probably pull back on some of the volunteering efforts, not to mention all the limits I'm sure you guys are having. When
the whole shutdown in New York, and frankly coast to coast, happened, it was the very first thing that agencies like BRC had to do was just put a stop to any and all volunteerism, because you just can't afford to have people that are not, that we see regularly coming through our doors. So we're talking about quite a few people. But our volunteers at that point were very understanding, and everybody had to really, fend for themselves, take care of themselves, and we get that. And frankly, in terms of BRC, we had to pivot the entire volunteer direction completely. Not long after the shutdown happened, people started reaching out. Much like 9/11, we're in the midst of a crisis, and people want to help, and you want to tap into that enthusiasm and that caring. One of the things that people in my position had to do is try to figure out ways where we could work with these folks virtually. And that was interesting. I'd never had a virtual opportunity before.
Because I usually think of, like, when you're volunteering, it's going to help paint a room, build a house, serve a meal. Not
exactly.
Traditionally, not things I've found that can be done virtually.
No,
historically,
unless you have this amazing mind meld capability of painting from afar. What I had done though is I'd spoken to a number of my colleagues that are directors of the actual shelters and facilities to say, listen, what can volunteers do that will help out our clients? And one of the other issues, by the way, that we had to face was how to help our clients social distance properly. Because, I mean, you know, you and I, the three people out there, your listeners, they could go home and they could close the doors and they could be safe. What do you do if you don't have a home, or if you're living in a communal environment? And so what we had to do is really find out ways of keeping our clients engaged, socially apart from everybody else. And how do you do that when you have very limited abilities? We had to shut down our common room, so there was no longer any television or movies. I met with our directors just to find out what volunteers can do. And Zoom was a godsend, as everybody now knows. It really was. I started having volunteers Zoom in or log into Zoom, and they're running creative writing groups and read aloud poetry clubs, doing wellness and deep breathing, and even yoga. It was pretty remarkable. And I also turned to our volunteer base and said, listen, what can you do? What do you have a passion for that you think might transfer well into a virtual environment? So it was as much our volunteers that had these really fabulous ideas. It was really challenging, but it was one that our volunteers stepped up to, and one that went remarkably well. And then thankfully over time, when I was talking to my colleagues at our volunteer coordinators, facilitators, directors, managers at quite a few other nonprofits, they're all experiencing the same things, and a number of them had to think just as creative. It's just a matter of creativity right now.
In terms of, you know, when you said you guys are out like at subway stations and so trying to find out people that need help, I feel that, you know, homelessness is one of these things that it's so hard to tackle, because a lot of people mean to help, but they don't even know where to start, or just the enormity of trying to put, you know, this person on track. With the services you guys offer, in a typical case, and I imagine that not all cases are the same, in your typical case, you find someone, let's say, that needs your help, and they become a client. Give us a little bit of insight of like what like the step-by-step is, or the day-by-day with somebody who's just become a client.
Well, that's not an easy question to answer, only because a lot of people take a step back and look at the homeless community as just one large population, right? Not realizing, just like any other community, they're comprised of individuals with very unique, very specific needs. And we need to find out. And so when we're doing outreach, our outreach workers are very trained in learning how to do that initial assessment to find out what the next step should be. A lot of people just think, I'm not putting this in a negative light, they mean this through kindness, just saying, well, I mean, they're homeless, let's find them a shelter. It's not that easy, because when we're doing the outreach, we're doing an assessment to find out, do you have a mental illness? Do you have a chemical addiction? Do you have a combination of both? Because that will determine exactly what the next step should be. I guess I spoke a little quickly about what the process is, but when we're doing outreach, our outreach workers when they're doing that assessment, are finding out what location or program they should go to. And typically that could very well be emergency housing. Typically for somebody that does have either a mental health issue or a chemical addiction issue, because consider that much more, for lack of a better phrase, but consider like a triage, a very in-depth triage, where that's the first step, where we're going to find out exactly what you need right away, but we're going to also tackle all those issues and get you the help right away. So not only will we address the mental health issues and chemical addiction issues, we'll get you access to any kind of medical care you may require, any kind of prescriptions you may require. We will encourage you to participate in a type of therapy that is best suited for your own needs. So when they're with us in emergency housing, our clients are incredibly busy. They are really diving deep into and they're very proactive in terms of addressing what needs to be done next. And so they will sit with our specialists, our clinicians, our professionals, our social workers, just to find out, okay, well, this is what we're going to do, because we also have to let them know what we expect of them as much as what they expect of us. So we're going to treat them as an individual. And something I also emphasize is we look more so that we're simply providing the tools, and it's at the discretion of the client to use those tools at his or her pace that best suits their their abilities and their capabilities. So when they're with us in emergency housing, that's when we find out what next step should occur. And that's when we can bring them into transitional housing. And transitional housing is where they could stay with us for 10 months, 9 months, 2 years, whatever, again, at their pace. And we'll continue to address their mental health and chemical addiction issues, if there were any. And we'll bring them into transitional housing, and we'll continue to address all those issues. And we'll also even address the fact that, our goal, of course, is not just to help you get off the street, but help you stay off the street, right? So that means you have to be so independent enough to pay your own bills. We have a workforce development program called Horizons. And Horizons is where we will give you access to a computer lab. We will encourage you to participate in workshops to learn how to write a resume, how to use a computer, how to search the internet, a lot of things that we all take for granted.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it seems like it's a little bit of that old adage, give a man a fish, teach a man to fish. See, I went to Sunday school once.
You actually, you truly took the words out of my mouth. That's how I was going to end it.
Sorry.
That exact. No. It's good that you said that, because that's exactly our approach, and something that from our CEO on down, that's exactly what we say is you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. And everything, again, is a continuum of care. And it's a continuum of care at the pace of the individual. We typically, I mentioned it's on average about 10,000 clients in a typical year. And we do that. We also, in the past year, our last fiscal year, the workforce development program I was just describing, Horizons, almost 500 of those clients did rejoin the workforce. And these are people that would never have had that opportunity to rejoin the workforce. And we're more than just housing.
Now, you said that one of the things you guys also do is help out people that are at risk of being homeless. Mm-hmm. So in today's world, with so many people out of work, I'm sure New York, probably like many states here in Florida, we had an eviction moratorium, but now they just lifted that, so thousands and thousands of people are going to be out of their homes or their apartments. What do you guys exactly define as at risk of being homeless, and how do you help those people?
Thank you for the segue. We actually developed and opened the doors to probably the single most innovative program we've ever introduced. Almost 3 years ago, a little over 2.5, I believe, where we opened the doors in the South Bronx to a facility called the Apartments at Landing Road. It is a program that addresses not homelessness and not Section 8 housing or subsidized housing. It addresses the concept of affordable housing. There are millions and millions of people in the United States that have to face incredibly difficult decisions, all about can I afford to pay my rent and risk having my electricity turned off? Can I afford to feed my family? And these are decisions that nobody should really have to make, but millions of people have to go through this every day, and it's a horrible feeling. First of all, we did step back from that concept and all right, that's affordable housing. Not subsidized housing, not Section 8 housing. We're not landlords. We never have been landlords. We never will be landlords. We're like, well, wait a minute. These are people that are making these decisions. These are the very people that are at risk of becoming homeless because they're at risk of getting evicted. Right. So we addressed that, and we broke ground and built from the ground up an absolutely beautiful facility that addresses 2 issues in the South Bronx. The first issue is the street homeless. There was a very large population of street homeless in the South Bronx. And while we're also looking at the idea of affordable housing, and we built one very large facility, absolutely beautiful, where half the building it's a shelter, right?
Like a standard...
a standard men's shelter for street homeless men with its own entrance. But there's another facility right next to it, a massive apartment building, which is not Section 8 housing, it's strictly affordable housing that we introduced and encouraged people in that community to apply. And we got thousands upon thousands of applications for a couple hundred units. And so that addresses the whole concept of affordable housing. And now one thing that I always like to mention is, again, we are a non-profit. So any revenue generated from the rent of that and those units, we can't. At the end of the day, we're really technically not supposed to have a excess. Again, we're a non-profit.
Right.
So any of the profit that comes from that building goes back into the same building, which is right next door, which is the men's shelters. So now we are subsidizing ourselves and helping out, helping address two issues. Two very hot topics in the community, and it's going remarkably well. And again, we're not professional landlords, but it's going well enough where, like, this is something that we can introduce into other communities within New York City, and that is something we're all looking at. We're all looking at other neighborhoods now too.
Yeah. That sounds like a great model that I think could be mirrored in other communities, like even just outside of.
What do you consider that is, well?
We're just teeing them up for you today, aren't we?
You really are, and I'm enjoying the hell out of this. One thing, it is such an innovative, common sense approach that addresses two serious issues in one neighborhood. We get requests, well, prior to the pandemic, but we're getting requests where our folks, we were getting requests for tours of that facility, both facilities, from government officials and people from all over the country, because they want to see it, because it's such a common sense approach. Why hasn't anybody done it before? Right. Like, well, you know what? We've been doing this for 50 years, and we only just thought about this about 6 years ago. We finally opened the doors 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, so you guys have been doing this forever, quote unquote, and and the light bulb just went off. So yeah. We're very, very proud of it. If you guys are ever in New York, happy to show you around. It's a beautiful facility. So with the holidays around the corner, I mean, I know it's, we kind of touched on this, and it really is a time of year when people, and this is going to sound horrible, but just go with me on it, where people all of a sudden like remember homelessness is a problem. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden it's the holidays, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's a thing that that people suffer through all year round. Let me pay attention at the end of the year. What are some ways? I mean, it's true. But what are some ways that our listeners could get involved this year? Because again, I think normally people think of like, okay, well, I'm going to go serve Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going to go, do a toy drive. I mean, there's just certain things that are inherent, like the first thing you think about, which may or may not be, able to be done this year. In terms of BRC, and then I'll also talk in general, but speak in general. But in terms of BRC, we are now able to welcome volunteers on site in very limited numbers. With certain guidelines in place, such as KN95 masks, face shields, social distancing requirements, taking a temperature on site, things of that sort. So we are able to do that, but we've had to decrease the numbers. Right. And we went from about 110 to 120 volunteers at any moment for Thanksgiving Day down to 40. Oh, wow. But, yeah. And I've had to have so many conversations in the past month and into next week where it's, I'm sorry, but we are booked. But the one thing that we are able to do is still provide some level of normalcy through holiday celebrations. And I know that other nonprofits are able to do the same. There is, and I think this is through the people have romanticized volunteering on Thanksgiving Day because of TV and movies, where they think every nonprofit in the world would love to have my enthusiasm and see my great smile show up at their door. So thank you, 80s sitcoms.
Yes. And that is, I hate to say it, that is the farthest thing from the truth. Ismail, you heard me talk about this over many a cocktail over the years, but what I would tell everybody to do is either call the nonprofit that you prefer directly to find out if you need any help this year, number one. There is a fantastic website that I would encourage you guys to tell your listeners about, called Volunteer Match. One word, volunteermatch.com. Okay. It is a fantastic nationwide aggregate website that has hundreds of thousands of volunteer opportunities coast to coast.
That's fantastic.
We use it. I use it almost daily. Where if a program says, "Hey," just in fact earlier today, they're like, "Hey, Rick, we really would like to do an on-site arts and crafts program safely. What do you think?" I'm like, "Fine." And I posted it, and I already have a couple of interviews lined up with new volunteers. It's a great website, and I would encourage people to check into that. There's one other website that I would encourage people to look at too, to look at the legitimacy of the nonprofit. Because there are a lot of nonprofits.
Is that a problem, especially now this year, you think?
Well, I mean, if you look at websites like GoFundMe, there's a number of GoFundMe funds that people are putting up just to benefit a nonprofit. I would use air quotes right now. They can't see it, you guys can. Yeah. But that for nonprofits to benefit people in the midst of the pandemic, that turned out to not be real. They're not legitimate. So what I would encourage people to do is the website is called GuideStar, GUIDESTAR, guidestar.org. Okay. And they are a great website for just basically checking on the legitimacy of a nonprofit. They rate the nonprofits and give them platinum, gold, silver, bronze level, talking about funding and where the funds go and that sort of thing. Right. It's a great research tool that I encourage people to use. But back to what people can do. I know, think creatively rather than some people would like to, they say, "Oh, I'd like to cook a full Thanksgiving meal and donate it to," well, maybe this year it's probably not a good idea to do that, but you can certainly donate a gift card to a local supermarket.
Okay.
You can donate a care package of non-perishable food items. By the way, when people do food drives, don't donate anything in glass. Just as a big FYI, please don't do that. Nothing in glass.
No glass bottles, or no jams and jellies in glass bottles.
No jams or jellies. Almost everything can get purchased in plastic. And something a lot of people like to do, and this is I really do love, is when they would like to get their children involved. Most nonprofits these days probably can't, certainly now, allow children on site. I know BRC is not an exception to that rule. We're just not allowed to, or not able to have, invite children on site, even with parents involved. But what I have recently done is a number of school kids have been hosting, or rather schools have been hosting sock drives. Nonprofits that address, new socks, please, not used.
It's a little sad you had to make that distinction, but okay. But okay.
All the stories I could tell.
I'm sure.
And sock drives would be fantastic. Something as simple or cheap as having kids create holiday cards. Just creating holiday cards and sending them to a nonprofit is great. I get them almost every year from little kids, and it's really kind of cute because what I would typically do is hang them on the walls of a particular shelter or facility so that the clients can read them when they're coming and going from a holiday celebration or gathering. It's really kind of nice. So think creatively. There are ways to lend a hand, especially right now. I think what people like is just that human contact, even if it's from afar.
You're saying, get creative, but it's also, I'm realizing how simple some of these acts are. It's not like, it's like you said, a handmade card, by some kid, little kids, or, sending a gift card for a local grocery store. And, it's not anything that really is going to be this intricate, take 8 hours out of your day to implement. And it goes such a long way, whether, financially, literally, like in the case of a gift card, or just, on an emotional human level.
And not just that, but in general too, a lot of people say, well, I don't have time to volunteer. I'm like, well, I get that, I work full time, but most of our volunteer shifts are 45 minutes to an hour and a half. And so it really depends on the amount of time that you can provide. One of the main questions I always ask every person on my registration forms when they express an interest is, why are you interested in volunteering? And a number of people respond with, well, I can't afford to write a check, but I can afford to donate an hour or two. And to me, that's very significant because that's very meaningful and it means a lot to that person. And I really want to make sure I put them to good use and make sure they have an engaging experience because, in the long run, they'll step away from it remembering BRC that they made a difference in somebody's life. And despite the holidays, yes, I do get a huge increase in volunteer interest over the holidays. That's to be expected because we realize, despite the circumstances, a lot of us are still fortunate enough because we have a roof over our head. We have heat, we have food in our refrigerator, and there are so many people that don't. They may recognize that, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm looking here. I went to your website, and I'm looking at some of your numbers. About 8,700 people served by BRC's programs. 936 people moved to stable housing. That's amazing. Over 4,000 clients successfully completed your programs. I mean, do you guys set yourself do you have data in terms of the amount of people that need your help and you try to reach certain numbers, or you just try to do the best you can?
It's a combination of both. We have an entire department that is dedicated to numbers, to data. And if you ask me for those numbers, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. We do have an entire department that's dedicated to the numbers because as a nonprofit, we have to prove ourselves. We have to prove that the donations that we receive are actually going to where they're supposed to go. So clearly, we need to make sure that we're doing what is expected of us, but we also want to make sure that the homelessness isn't going anywhere. So we need to make sure that we keep those numbers up and we keep improving year to year because there's more and more people that need the help. Frankly, I mean, this is something I've actually heard other people within our agency say. We're one of the nonprofits that we're trying to put ourselves out of business. We really are. Yeah. And if all of us find ourselves unemployed next year, that means we did a really, really good job.
That's true.
And but that's not going to happen anytime soon. So we're just going to keep going and doing our best.
Well, Rick, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I know it's a lot. Like you said, homelessness unfortunately is not going anywhere. But thanks to the efforts of people like yourself and the BRC and other local homeless organizations and other nonprofits, because aside from homelessness, and there's other nonprofit organizations, like you said, they can find them on volunteermatch.com.
One thing I just want to say is, even though I work for an agency that represents homeless men and women and those at risk of becoming homeless, is follow your passion. Because if you volunteer for an agency that fits within your passion, that passion is going to shine through in your volunteer work, and it really will benefit that agency that much more. Don't just pick something out of guilt. Pick it because you love it.
Yeah, there's a difference between volunteering and community service.
Oh, that's another story. That's an entirely different episode, dude. Here, let me get my diary.
Yeah, that's a over drinks episode. That's what that was.
Your organization and the volunteers are part of. I always try to say one of my simple life mottos is be part of the solution, not the problem.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely one of homelessness, tackling homelessness in whatever way is definitely part of the solution, because we could be here all day saying what the problem is, and it's like, what are we going to do about it? That's the important part.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we can sit here all day. The three of us can sit here all day and all night talking about just homelessness as a problem, but the reality of it is that it is a problem, but I'm never going to diminish that, but there are agencies and people out there that are part of that solution and willing to do their best to help. And not for nothing, but even something as some people are like, well, where's the value of a 45-minute creative writing class? I'm like, well, you just made a difference for 45 minutes in 3 or 4 or 5 people's lives, and that's enough.
Absolutely.
That's enough. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you again for stopping by our little show to chat. Again,
of course, this is fun.
I miss you guys, and I can't wait to get back up to New York and hang out.
I know. We miss you guys. We miss you too. Let's the stupid pandemic. Let's have you guys figure out a time when
is it over yet? Like, are we done with it yet?
I think tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow we'll head up. All right. All right. Thank you, man. Oye, mi gente, just because we're working from home doesn't mean we have to stop taking care of our skin. Bueno, our friends at M Skincare have created products made for us men who barely have 5 minutes to take care of our skin. M Skincare's 5-minute morning products, from triple action gel face wash to all-day serum to the daily defense hydrating lotion, is a full skincare routine for men that leaves your face clean, toned, protected, and hydrated. Look, I loathe extensive morning routines, and I can tell you from personal experience with M Skincare's products, it really does only take 5 minutes, and it's even a great defense against maskne. Their triple action gel face wash doesn't just wash, it's a scrub, so it gets all up in those pores and just cleans them all out. And the all-day serum, a little of that helps heal damage from the elements, like the horribly punishing sun us Miami men know too damn well. But my absolute fave is the Daily Defense Hydrating Lotion. I usually hate lotion because I have really oily skin, so it just adds to it. But that is not a problem with M Skincare's Hydrating Lotion. It keeps my skin looking younger and firmer. Yeah, I'm a man of a certain age. Even better than skincare products specially tailored for men is getting a discount to try them. That's right. Just visit that's M like men, skincare.com/pero and get a great discount on all these products. Así que whether as a holiday gift or a gift for yourself, every man deserves healthy skin, and M Skincare is the perfect and quickest way for us guys to get it. So don't forget, that's mskincare.com/pero for great skincare.
And we're back.
Yes. So, yeah, as we mentioned, Rick is one half of the constantly cameoing in our first season duo of Rick and Joe.
But you know what? Rick said something that I'm glad that he said it, since he's at the forefront of that. Right. He said something that was very true, that, a lot of people volunteer during the holidays, which is great, because anytime people volunteer,
absolutely,
you don't want to turn them away, and, your time is precious. But, all this type of stuff, it's year round.
It doesn't go away.
And, and I know that from somebody, also that volunteers, through the Guardian Ad Litem program and other things that I've, these are agencies or programs that constantly need help throughout the year because they're underfunded, and nobody volunteers for them. And I'm glad that he mentioned that, because in this day and age, a lot of times people do things for photo ops and
for the gram.
For the gram.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, even if you do it for the gram, at least you're doing it. But you need help. They need help all year round.
Yeah, and I will say, even if you, let's say, I don't do anything. I don't have a talent to, do something virtually, or I don't have time. At the end of the day, guys, if you can, of course, cash helps, because all of these nonprofits, they do rely on, not to be all Scarlett O'Hara about it, but the kindness of strangers, right? Like, without funds, they cannot get these programs off the ground. So that's always just something we can all do.
Scarlett O'Hara was such a bitch.
Oh yeah.
What's so funny?
Unrepentingly.
What's so funny? I never read that book. I never read Gone with the Wind. And
I've seen it in fits and spurts.
Like, I didn't see it until like my late 20s. Mm-hmm. And you always hear of the Scarlett O'Hara. Like, my cousin,
iconic character.
My cousin named her daughter Scarlett. And when I finally saw that movie, and I was like, wait, espérate un momentico. Wait, so you mean to tell me that Scarlett O'Hara, who was one of the most famous literary characters in like American literature of all time,
really,
or cinematic characters,
cinematic history,
or around the world,
you
mean to tell me that she's a spoiled little bitch?
She is a horrible human being.
She's absolutely awful.
Yes.
So it's like, you mean to tell me that this is what was going on here all the time?
Yeah.
Do you have a last soda? Because I kind of wanted to give a
joint
combined last soda.
Go for it.
So I just thought about giving our last soda to everybody listening. We are at the tail end of season 3 of our podcast.
Got like 3 or 4 weeks left,
And as you guys know, we always take a winter hiatus, and this has been a really, really tough year and for everybody. And, it was a very tough year for us, because for a very long time we weren't, we were recording via Skype, and, we were recording separate from each other, obviously, because we were in lockdown and quarantine. And, that presents a challenge because when we record, Ish and I feed off of each other's, you know, we feed off of each other when we do the show. So doing it via Skype was a little challenging. So we want to thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Because without you, we would not have a podcast.
This is true.
We would have a podcast that nobody listens to.
Nobody listens to it, and then Only in Dade wouldn't stop by, or, you know, Martha Miami, or, you know, Jenny Lorenzo, forget Seth, you know, like, nobody, Martha Darby, nobody would have shown up.
Forget all that.
Nobody would have shown up.
So thank you guys so much for sticking with us, and especially this year. We're very, very, very grateful. I mean, 3 seasons in, and we're still very humbled and grateful over the fact that people actually listen to us. Like,
and we keep getting new listeners.
Yes,
new people discover us. That's amazing to me.
I'm still like in awe about it that people actually stop to listen to us. So thank you.
Yes. Yep. Well, I can't not agree with you on that. I mean, you know, like you said, without
so
them,
everybody gets a last soda.
Everybody gets a last soda. Soda. We're buying a round of sodas for.
What it will not be is a tab, because 2020 saw the year of the
discontinuation of the tab.
And my question is,
I forgot it was around.
Who was drinking tab?
Well, you know, there was probably that one lady who buys like the Capri menthol cigarettes. You know, one hand is that little skinny cigarette, on the other hand is her tab.
Una americana.
The lady from Something About Mary.
Una americana.
Yeah.
With the shiny thing.
Yeah, exactly. With the tanning thing. Yeah.
I can't think of anybody Latin or black drinking tab.
I'm gonna just take this. I don't remember the last time I saw tab in a supermarket.
I recall seeing it not too long ago. When I mean not too long ago, I mean within the last 5 years.
Okay. Look at how long you had to broaden the scope here.
Then I'm thinking like, oh, tab. But goodbye, tab.
Goodbye, tab.
So
yes.
Anyway, bueno, we hope everybody with that
on that note,
tab made an appearance on our podcast on our Thanksgiving special. We hope everybody listened, laughed, and learned, especially learned how to make that turkey.
Yes,
which they learned after Thanksgiving.
But you know what? That's okay, because some people do Friendsgiving.
There we go. We hope you listened, laughed, and learned. If you have any questions on the turkey recipe, please DM us or send us an email at perolemipodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, exactly. We'll send you the recipe. We'll have it ready to go.
I'll even send you pictures of the final product.
Yeah, how it should look.
Yes. Yeah. And we hope you listened, laughed, and learned. And remember to grab your turkey sandwich.
Yes, because we know y'all got them.
Your turkey sandwich, and now your coquito.
Your coquito. Qué rico.
Yep. Now it's coquito time.
And you know what? You have a lot of leftover turkey. You can totally make.
You know what's going to be challenging about coquito this year? Because, you know, in the office, you always had that 1 or 2 coworkers who made coquito. So now, since people are working virtually, so now you're going to have to...
No, hacen a delivery.
Yeah, you're going to have to find a way of...
hacen a delivery.
That's another Miami thing, I got to say.
That is, Miami y Puerto Rico, I'm sure.
Well, no. But Miami thing insofar that... Well, of course, in Puerto Rico, they make coquito. That's where it's from. Yeah. But in Miami...
That's like the holiday version of the mangoes in the summer.
Right. Because you always had that one coworker,
yeah.
You know, or 2 coworkers that make coquito.
Yeah.
And they make it, you know, they put it in the bottle with the tag and
very pretty. The whole shebang.
Yeah. You know, ready to gift.
But you know what? That's another opportunity now.
What?
You know, like I did with the cupcakes earlier. That's an opportunity now. You know, you can deliver it to a couple of your coworkers and brighten their day.
Or you could have coquito on Uber Eats.
Oh my God.
Or Postmates.
Did we just create something?
Anyway, have a great holiday weekend.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving. And have fun eating and shopping or whatever you're doing.
And don't forget
weekend.
To support small businesses, guys.
Yes.
You know, Small Business Saturday is this weekend. The Saturday after Black Friday. This year, especially, you know, with everything that's happened, you know, small businesses are really struggling. We can do as much as we can to help them. You know, we'll be posting a couple of small businesses that you can frequent. But if you know of any, you know, again, DM us and we'll happily share them on our stories.
So thank you so much, guys. Wear a mask. Be safe. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lomlaplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.